You were never really taught the truth about sex, and it's cost you more than you probably realize. From the moment you first noticed your body, someone else was already deciding what that meant for you. They told you it was dangerous, wrong, or embarrassing, or maybe they just said nothing at all. And that silence did its own kind of damage. You weren't educated about sex. You were trained. While they were busy shaping your ideas about sex to be something you either chased after blindly or tried to hide completely, they took away the one thing that made it special: your power. Sex has never been just about pleasure, biology, having kids, or attraction. It's, and always has been, your connection to something bigger. A flow of energy that doesn't just run through you, but actually created you. Your body isn't separate from your soul. Desire isn't the opposite of something sacred. When you finally peel back all the layers of what you've been taught, what's left isn't shame. It's the truth. You weren't born ashamed of your body. You didn't come into this world feeling guilty about your desires. That was something given to you. And it started earlier than you think. Even before you could put it into words or really understand it, the system was already working on you. When you showed curiosity about your body, someone pulled away. When you asked simple questions, someone changed the subject. You slowly learned, without anyone saying it outright, that certain parts of you were off limits, that desire was dangerous and pleasure was something to hide. You didn't just take in those messages with your mind, you felt them in your whole nervous system. You carried those feelings into your teenage years, your relationships, and even how you saw yourself in the mirror. The messages didn't always come in direct words. Sometimes it was what wasn't said. Sometimes it was jokes at school, awkward looks, distorted images in media, or religious rules that made your body feel like a battlefield between right and wrong. What they never told you is this wasn't an accident. It was planned. Because when people are cut off from their sexual energy, they're easier to control, easier to manipulate, easier to shame into doing what they're told. Your sexual energy is your life force, pure creative power. It's the strongest fuel you have. And if they can make you afraid of it or make it feel dirty or dangerous, then they can keep you small and easy to manage. And it worked. You started connecting your desires with guilt. You began policing your own body and thoughts. You learned how to act, how to hide, how to fit into the version of normal that society gave you. Sex became just something you do instead of something you feel, a transaction instead of a transformation. And in the process, something sacred was lost. Not just your comfort with sex, but your connection to something deeper. Yourself, your source, your spirit. They made you believe sex is either just entertainment or totally off limits, that it's either a distraction or a danger. But they never told you it's holy, powerful, and your doorway to something way beyond the physical. If they had, you wouldn't keep looking outside yourself for your worth. You wouldn't ask permission to feel alive. You'd start asking questions the powers that be can't answer. Some truths about sacred sexuality can't be shared here because this would get taken down. That's why we created Insights Academy, our free newsletter. Sign up through the link below and grab the Kybellian ebook while it's still available. You weren't born broken or split apart. That happened little by little. Now, your job is to undo it. Not by pushing sex away or hiding it, but by remembering what it really is and taking back what's already yours. This isn't about becoming someone else. It's about peeling away the conditioning until what's left is real, raw, and alive. You've never been broken. You've been bound. And once you see how deep this programming goes, you can start to undo it, step by step. Not with shame, but with power. They told you to be spiritual. You had to reject your body. That being pure meant staying away from desire. That desire was the enemy of enlightenment. They gave you a picture of a spiritual person who was calm, detached, and above all, the mess of flesh. But that picture was never yours. It was made to keep you disconnected from what could truly free you. The body was never the problem. The problem was the story they told you about it. The idea that sex and spirit are separate didn't happen by accident. It was built over generations. Many religious groups saw sex as a threat because sexual energy is raw, wild, and powerful. It doesn't ask for permission. It doesn't follow rules. And people who are in touch with their sexual truth don't easily submit. So to control them, the body had to become scary. Pleasure had to be seen as sinful. Desire had to be painted as a distraction. And that's where the split began. On one side, the sacred. On the other, the sensual. You were told to choose. Be spiritual or be sexual. You couldn't be both. You couldn't combine them. And if you tried, you were called impure, lost, or indulgent. But here's the real truth. Spirit and body were never meant to be separate. They're not opposites. They're different expressions of the same source. The body isn't a prison. It's a temple. Sexuality isn't a detour from enlightenment. It's the path. Ancient wisdom knew this. Long before organized religion took control, cultures around the world honored sexual energy as sacred. In Tantra, the union of masculine and feminine was more than a symbol. It was real, energetic, and spiritual. Bringing opposites together was a way back to wholeness. In Taoism, working with sexual energy was seen as a way to live longer, stay healthy, and awaken your spirit. In Hermetic teachings, creation was viewed as a divine force expressing itself. Everything in the universe reflects everything else. But over time, that knowledge got lost, twisted, or pushed aside. Instead, we got empty rituals, strict rules, and shame-filled ideas that told people to hide or reject the most natural parts of themselves in the name of being holy. But shame isn't holy. Rejecting yourself isn't sacred. You can't reach higher levels by denying the very body that keeps you grounded here. Your body isn't the problem. It's the path. Yet, you were taught to see them as separate. You tried to pray away your desires or hide them behind spiritual language. You called it ego or attachment, but really it was your own life force wanting to be felt. You meditated to escape your body instead of coming back to it. But disconnecting from your body isn't enlightenment. It's running away. A spirituality that cuts you off from your physical self isn't awakening. It's avoidance. The truth is, you were never supposed to choose between spirit and body. You were meant to bring them together, to let the sacred flow through your skin, your breath, your whole being. This isn't about indulging yourself. It's about respect. It's about finally realizing your sexuality isn't something to overcome. It's something to honor. When you stop splitting yourself in two, you remember who you were before they tried to divide you. You were told sexual energy is just lust, hormones, or attraction. But that's only the surface. What you felt is the shadow of something much deeper, powerful, and sacred. Sexual energy isn't about craving. It's about creation. It's the blueprint of the universe, the invisible thread connecting all life. Every tree, animal, star, heartbeat comes from this force. You didn't create it, you are it. This energy isn't just something to release or hide away. It's something to channel, to nurture. It's the fire that lights up your spine when you're inspired. The spark behind your intuition, the feeling of being fully alive and present. In deep moments of connection, whether sexual, creative, or spiritual, you've already felt it. You just didn't know what it was. They taught you to see it as something basic or bad. Because if you really understood its power, you wouldn't just change your life. You'd change the world. Across ancient cultures, this energy had many names. In India, it was called Shakti. In China, Jing. In Egypt, Sem. In the West, it got reduced to libido and buried under layers of shame and pressure. But no matter the name, the essence is the same. Pure life force. The power not only to create new life, but to awaken your own. It doesn't belong to men or women, straight or gay, or any group. It's beyond identity. It's universal. And when you learn to work with it consciously, it's not just about sex, it's about transformation. That's what they never wanted you to know. Because someone who understands how to work with sexual energy, rather than just act on it, is harder to control. This energy connects you to higher wisdom, deep intuition, and spiritual clarity. It heals your body, clears your mind, and fuels creativity. Most of all, it reconnects you to parts of yourself buried under years of guilt, fear, and performance. But to tap into it, you have to unlearn what you were taught. It's not about turning sex into a ritual or forcing a perfect sacred experience. This isn't a performance or a trick. It's about listening closely to your body, your energy, and what moves through you when you stop fighting it or trying to escape it. Your breath becomes your guide. Being present becomes your practice. And your body becomes your altar. Not because it's perfect, but because it's real. You don't need a partner or the perfect moment to access this energy. It's yours. Always has been. Your ability to feel, create, and connect is already inside you. Every time you breathe with purpose, move with awareness, or embrace your desire without shame, you're remembering, reclaiming, and waking up. The more you do this, the more you realize this energy is sacred, not because someone told you, but because you feel it. It flows through your spine, your heart, your skin. It's not dirty or something to hide. It's the same energy that created galaxies, and it lives inside you, ready and unafraid. All it asks is that you stop running from it. It wants to be honored, not controlled. Respected, not repressed. When you finally stop trying to manage it, you meet the part of yourself that's always been free. Most people think orgasm is the end of sex, a quick moment of pleasure, then done. That's how we've been taught to see it. But what if that moment, the stillness and surrender, wasn't the end, but a doorway? What if orgasm, fully understood, is one of the most direct ways we experience losing the ego in daily life? In those moments, the mind quiets. Thoughts stop. The body opens. There's no you, no identity, no fear, no past or future, just sensation, vibration, energy. For a second, you dissolve into something bigger, something nameless. That's not just biology. That's transcendence. And it's been there all along, hidden in plain sight, disguised as something casual or just for fun, something we joke about but rarely truly understand. Ancient traditions understood this. They didn't see sex as something to rush through or avoid, but as a sacred tool for awakening. In tantric practice, orgasm wasn't the goal. It was a doorway, a glimpse into something infinite. By focusing on breath, intention, and being fully present, lovers could make that moment last longer and feel deeper. The body becomes a temple, and the breath becomes a bridge. In that space, something powerful happens. You stop trying to perform and start to let go. The mask comes off, the ego softens, and you just become presence itself. Western culture, on the other hand, turned orgasm into a numbers game. How fast? How often? How intense? It made something mystical into a competition. It became about the finish line, not the experience. So we started chasing it, addicted to the high, missing the real point. Because orgasm isn't something to chase, it's something to surrender into. The deeper you go, the more you realize orgasm isn't about friction or speed. It comes from connection, energy, presence, and letting go. Great sex has less to do with skill and more to do with how safe you feel, how open you are, and how willing you are to be seen. When two people drop their armor and roles and meet each other in that raw, unguarded place, magic happens. The body becomes like a tuning fork, vibrating with something that feels divine. Orgasm stops being just a release and starts becoming a revelation. Science is only beginning to understand this. During orgasm, the brain floods with oxytocin, dopamine, and endorphins. Brain waves shift, and the line between self and other blurs. It's similar to what happens in deep meditation, breath work, or even with psychedelics. Yet we treat orgasm like a quick, guilty pleasure to get over with, instead of the sacred reset it really is. To reach this level of experience, you have to slow down. You have to unlearn everything you've been taught about sex being a race. Stop performing. Stop trying to get somewhere. Start listening. Start breathing. Start feeling, not just with your mind, but with your whole being. When you do, something opens inside, something ancient and eternal. It's not just in your partner, it's in you. Orgasm isn't the end, it's the beginning, a glimpse into something more. When you stop chasing orgasm and start experiencing it as a doorway, you realize something most people never do. Sex isn't just physical, it's spiritual. It always has been. The path to reclaiming your sexual energy isn't always easy. It's filled with wounds, wounds you didn't ask for and might not even remember, but your body never forgot. For many, sex isn't freedom. It's fear, shame, pain wrapped up in performance. And underneath it all, there's silence, because most of us were never given the tools to talk about it or heal it. We were told to hide it, endure it, pretend it didn't matter. So we did. Those unspoken experiences get buried deep, not just in memory, but in your muscles, your breath, and how you touch and are touched. Sexual trauma isn't always from obvious violence. Sometimes it's subtle. A moment you were shamed for being curious, a look that made you feel dirty, a partner crossing a boundary you didn't know how to say no to, being told to cover up, not to feel, or that wanting is wrong. All this builds a map inside your nervous system, a map that says sex equals danger, vulnerability equals risk, surrender equals exposure, and your body follows that map even if your mind doesn't get it. When you carry this kind of trauma, it's hard to reach the deeper parts of sex and spirituality. Not because they're missing, but because the door is locked, and the key is safety. Without safety, your body won't open, your breath won't deepen, and your presence fades. You get stuck in survival mode, going through the motions, feeling disconnected or numb. This is where many people get lost. They think something is wrong with them. They think they're broken. But you're not broken. You're just protecting yourself the best way you know how. Healing doesn't come from pushing harder. It comes from softening, from opening to awareness. You can't skip this step. You can't meditate or think your way out of trauma. Healing happens when you meet your body on its terms, not your mind's. That means slowing down, listening to the places that hurt, holding space for anger, grief, numbness, whatever feelings come up. These emotions aren't mistakes, they're messages. They show where something was taken from you, silenced inside you, or cut off from you. Every time you allow yourself to feel what was once forbidden, you take back a piece of yourself, frozen in time. This is why true sexual healing is spiritual work. It needs presence, honesty, and the courage to return to the parts of yourself you were told to leave behind. The body becomes both the battlefield and the sanctuary. And in this raw, messy, real space, the transformation begins. You start to see that your pain isn't separate from your power. Your sensitivity isn't weakness, it's wisdom. The part of you that shakes is the same part that will wake up. It's not quick or simple. It's not a straight line. But every breath you take into the discomfort brings you closer to freedom. Every honest moment you face with yourself and others is a step toward wholeness. This is the part most people avoid, but it's also the part with the greatest transformation. Because when you heal your relationship with your sexuality, you're not just healing sex. You're healing how you connect, how you trust, how you live in your body. You're learning how to feel safe in your own skin again. And from that place, everything changes. Not just in the bedroom, but in how you show up in the world. Sexual healing isn't about fixing what's broken. It's about remembering what was always whole, hidden beneath fear, shame, and silence. When you finally meet that part of yourself without judgment or expectations, you start to feel what true power really is. Not force or performance, but presence. And from that presence, a spiritual doorway opens. Not somewhere above you, but inside you. Most people have sex with their bodies but never connect with their true selves. They touch skin but don't reach what's beneath. It's not their fault. They were given scripts, rules about what's sexy, how to perform, what to do to be desirable. So they follow those scripts, copying what they see in movies, repeating what they've been told, measuring intimacy by noise, time, or reactions. But none of that touches the soul. None of it leads to the place where sex becomes sacred. Conscious sex starts where performance ends. It begins with stillness, with being fully present, choosing to show up not just as a body wanting release, but as a whole being willing to see and be seen. In this kind of connection, sex becomes less about what you do and more about how deeply you feel. Eye contact becomes a gateway. Breath becomes a way to communicate. Silence becomes its own presence. In that space, the lines between you and your partner start to blur. Two people become one field of awareness, alive and ancient. When you meet someone there, you're not just touching their body, you're meeting their soul, their fears, their hopes, and their truth. And you bring your own truth too. The masks fall away. There's no hiding behind roles, no escaping into fantasy. It's raw, real, and sacred. You're touching not just flesh, but memory. Not just sensation, but spirit. You start to see that the body isn't just for pleasure. It's a channel, a temple, a reflection of who you are and what you've forgotten. In this kind of sex, the ego can't survive. There's no room for control or need for validation. The moment you try to perform, the magic fades. Sacred sex isn't about appearances, it's about presence. It's a meditation, not a show, a prayer, not a game. You're not trying to get somewhere or impress anyone. You're just being, breathing, sensing, allowing. The deeper you go, the more you see your partner not just as someone you desire, but as a mirror reflecting your shadows, your light, your depth, your divinity. It's not always easy. Sometimes it brings up old pain, grief, or fears you thought you'd buried. But that's part of awakening. That's what makes it real. Conscious sex isn't just about pleasure. It's about truth. Sometimes the most sacred thing you can do is hold someone through their tears, breathe with them through their shame, or sit quietly while their heart opens in a way it never has before. This kind of connection can't be taught by movies or media. It doesn't need words because the bodies are already speaking an ancient language, a language of rhythm, stillness, surrender, and safety. It's not about tricks or techniques. It's about trust. And trust can't be rushed. It's built moment by moment, breath by breath, until you both drop into the same rhythm. In that space, time stops, the outside world fades, and you realize that sex, at its highest, isn't just an act. It's a ceremony, a remembrance, a return. You don't need candles or special settings to get there. You just need to be fully present and choose depth over distraction. When you do, sex becomes more than sex. It becomes healing, it becomes awakening, it becomes sacred. It was always meant to be that way, not an escape from life, but a return to it. Sex has always been more than physical, but you were never shown what's beyond sensation. You were taught to chase the high, to reach the climax, to end with a release and call that satisfaction. But what if sex wasn't an escape, but a way to change yourself and the world? Sexual energy, when used consciously, doesn't just move through your body. It transforms it. It doesn't just fuel pleasure. It awakens power. It's not just chemistry, it's alchemy. Every time you engage sexually, you're playing with fire. Most people get burned because they weren't taught how to handle it. They don't know that this energy can be directed, shaped, and lifted. When respected and breathed through, it can rise inside you like a serpent, opening energy centers, clearing blockages, and awakening something primal and divine. This is what the ancients called Kundalini, the coiled force, the sleeping dragon, dormant in most but alive in everyone. When Kundalini rises, it doesn't care about your plans or ask for permission. It exposes what's hidden, breaks through illusions, shines light on your shadows, and breathes life into buried truths. One of the fastest ways to awaken it is through conscious sexual union, not just with someone else, but with yourself. This isn't about control. It's about connection. Every sexual experience can become a ritual of rebirth, every orgasm a shedding of old layers, every moment of surrender a step toward remembering who you really are. Most people waste their sexual energy, giving it away without thought, burning it off in quick encounters, habits, or empty repetition. They don't realize every bit of that energy holds potential. It can be stored, focused, and turned into creativity, insight, healing, and vision. Imagine using that same energy to unlock your creativity, power your intuition, and speed up your growth. This isn't just New Age talk. It's ancient truth. It's what initiates and mystics have known for thousands of years, hidden in secret texts and sacred symbols. Transforming through sexual energy isn't about either abstaining or indulging. It's about intention. It's about waking up to what you've been doing on autopilot and choosing to do it consciously. It's about realizing this isn't just about sex. It's about life force, energy, and stepping fully into your true, raw self. That kind of presence is rare. That kind of energy threatens the systems that rely on you feeling numb, repressed, or just going along with the crowd. Because once you see that you can create this power inside yourself, you stop looking for it outside. You stop getting tricked by pleasure sold like a product. You stop trading your energy for shallow approval. Instead, you start to rise. You move with a kind of heat and clarity that others can feel, even if they don't understand it. This is what spiritual fire really looks like. Not distant or dreamy, but grounded, embodied, alive. When you bring real intention to your sexuality, everything changes. It's not just a quick fix or stress relief, or something you do because you think you should. It becomes sacred, powerful, creative. You're not just having sex, you're working with energy. You're shaping your consciousness through breath and sensation. As you do this, you become someone totally different from the version of you that lived in shame or numbness. You start glowing from the inside out, and the world notices. This is why you were never taught this. No one showed you how to hold your power, because a person who has awakened their sexual energy is hard to control. They're not addicted to outside approval. They don't ask for permission. They're tuned in, alive, and impossible to manipulate. That's why this path is so revolutionary. Not because it's loud or rebellious, but because it's about sovereignty, and that's something the system can't handle. A person who doesn't need the system to feel alive. You were taught to split yourself, to keep your spiritual life separate from your sexuality, to meditate in the morning but disconnect at night, to talk about presence and authenticity while hiding behind a mask in private. That split isn't natural. It's inherited. It made you believe parts of you don't belong together, that you have to choose between being holy or being human. But true integration doesn't ask you to choose. It asks you to remember you were never two separate things. Radical integration means bringing all of you into the light. It means no more hiding the parts that don't fit some spiritual ideal or social expectation. It means honoring your instincts without shame, your pleasure without guilt, your desire without apology. It's not about being perfect. It's about being whole. And wholeness is messy. It's real. It's sacred in a raw, unpolished way. When you stop hiding your power, something shifts. You stop needing approval. You stop chasing validation. You stop performing. And in that space, what rises is truth, your truth. A truth that doesn't ask for permission or need to be sold. You start walking differently, talking differently, loving differently, because you're not trying to be anyone else. You're just being yourself. This is what spiritual embodiment really means. Not floating above life, but being deeply rooted in it, feeling it, living it. When you bring your sexual energy into your spiritual path, You become more grounded, more intuitive, more connected to yourself, to others, to life. You become available to what's real, to the moment, to love. Not the scripted, staged kind, but the kind that comes in the quiet when you're just present. Integration also means noticing when you've been looking for your wholeness outside yourself, waiting for a partner, a teacher, a course, or a technique to fill you up. But the truth is, what you've been waiting for has always been inside you, hidden by conditioning and shame, but never gone. The moment you realize that, you take back your power, not just sexually, but spiritually. You see you don't need to be fixed. You just need to be reclaimed. You don't have to become someone new to grow. You just have to stop pretending. You're already whole. The version of you you're becoming isn't new. It's the one who's always been there, waiting to be remembered. This kind of integration isn't taught because it doesn't serve the system for you to feel complete. Whole people don't overconsume. Whole people don't depend on approval. Whole people don't follow empty rules. They create, connect, question, and they live. When sex becomes sacred again, not because someone says it is, but because you know it is, everything shifts. You stop chasing escape and start living in connection. You stop splitting between who you are in bed and who you are in meditation. It all becomes one. And that oneness isn't just an idea. It's something you feel in how you move, speak, breathe, and touch the world. This isn't about going back to some old practice or joining a spiritual group. It's about coming back to yourself, the self you were before shame and silence, before you were taught to break yourself into pieces. That self is still here, watching, waiting, ready to step back in, not as a concept, but as a lived experience, a felt truth, a presence that doesn't just think about wholeness, but radiates it. When you live from that place, you don't need to explain or convince anyone. You just become proof that there's another way, that sex and spirit aren't enemies, or even separate. They're the same energy flowing in different ways. One reminds you that you're human, the other reminds you that you're divine. And when they come together, you remember you are both. You were never really disconnected from the divine. You were just taught to forget. You were told to look up to feel God, to follow rules made by others, like climbing a ladder they built. But the divine isn't hiding in clouds or locked inside a book. It's right here, in your body, your breath, the warmth between your hips, the calm behind your eyes. It's always been here, whispering through your desires, flowing through pleasure, humming beneath every touch, every sigh, every time you stopped overthinking and just felt. That's why the system wanted to cut you off from it. That's why they taught you to separate your body from your soul. Because if you remembered that sex and spirit aren't separate, you'd stop following their map. You'd stop trying to earn your way to feeling whole and realize you were never broken in the first place. When someone sees their sexual energy as sacred, they don't beg for love. They live it. They don't perform to be accepted. They shine with presence. They don't follow a script. They live their truth. The most powerful and dangerous thing you can be in a shame-filled society is fully alive. And that's exactly what happens when you reconnect with this part of yourself. Being alive isn't just about energy. It's about awareness. It's how your body reacts to breath, beauty, and honesty. It's the quiet knowing that you don't need anyone's permission to be here, to feel deeply, to take up space. And once you remember that, no one can take it away. Moving forward isn't about being perfect. It's not about becoming some spiritual, sexually enlightened ideal. That's just another mask. This journey is about being real, being honest enough to say, I don't have all the answers, but I'm here now. I'm ready to feel, listen, and remember. Because remembering is what this has always been about. Not adding something new to yourself, but peeling away everything that told you to hide, shrink, or split yourself. You don't have to earn your sacredness. You were born with it. You don't have to perform spirituality to be divine. You already are. When you strip away the noise, shame, and old stories, you find you've been whole all along. You just forgot how to feel it. Let others chase the next method, rule, or perfect version of spiritual sex. You walk a different path, one that doesn't need explanation or approval, one that doesn't have to be loud to be powerful. This path moves through presence, embodiment, and remembering what's real. And when you live from that place, you become a mirror, not just for lovers, but for the whole world. A reminder that truth doesn't scream, it shines. You don't need more techniques or another guru. You need to come home to the part of yourself you were taught to fear. Because behind that fear is freedom. Behind that shame is your power. And behind that desire is the divine. Sex isn't separate from your spirituality. It's one of its purest expressions. Not because it's perfect, but because it's real. It's human and holy. It's messy and miraculous. It's fire and silence. It's the ache and the answer. And if there's one thing the world needs now, it's people who are fully alive, not performing or fitting in, but living, breathing, loving, and creating from deep, embodied truth. People who know their body isn't a distraction from spirit, but a doorway to it. Who know their desire isn't shameful but sacred. Their presence isn't small but infinite. So live from that place, speak from that place, touch from that place. Let the way you move through life be your meditation. Let your breath be your prayer. Let your body remind you again and again. You are not broken. You are not split. You are not missing anything. You are always the temple. You are always the truth. If this message opens something in you, don't let it stop here. There's more, deeper insights and teachings we can't share publicly. If you haven't joined Insights Academy yet, now's the time. Get the lessons they don't want out there and claim your free digital copy of the Kabbalion while it's still available. If this video spoke to you, drop a comment and say, "I got it."